Okay guys, so we've got some Battlefield 4 gameplay here to back me up while I discuss the Battlefield 1 trailer and my thoughts about it, and also my excitement and my confusion about a few things, but also maybe hopefully smooth a few areas out that people are sort of not looking forward to it too much. Even though it was the most liked gaming trailer apparently on YouTube in YouTube history, when you compare that on the other scale of things, on the other side of the spectrum to the to the Infinite Warfare trailer, which was the most hated, this was apparently the most liked. I don't know what quite went on there, but there's a little bit of skullduggery mentioned, but I think it's just down to personal preference. I think people have sort of woke up a little bit. But I want to talk about some of the features that I've seen on there, and also remember back to my history lessons at school, because I did used to love history at school, because it's important that you know your stuff from the past and where you came from and what built our nations and our countries and made them what they are. So, without any further ado, I will say that I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, I don't know about World War One. It looks great, it's Battlefield and we can expect some fantastic things, but the whole World War One thing, is there going to be that much variety to it, and so on and so forth. Well, what I can tell you is, what I remember from my sort of historical readings on World War One is that as far as variety goes, I think there's going to be a massive amount of variety when it comes to weapons and when it comes to artillery, air support, and so on and so forth, U-boats and things like that. U-boats were massively used, the submarines were massively used in World War One. They were considered to be an integral part of war because obviously they were concealed under the water and only destroyed by ships that could fire the torpedoes or other U-boats to destroy them. So I think that's going to be a really interesting addition. The other thing I noticed in the trailer was that there was, did you notice those blimps? Those great big blimps that were floating about? Well, those are called Zeppelins. And so I think I noticed one with the British sort of bullseye design that you used to see on the Spitfires. I think I noticed one of those on one of the blimps, which is a little bit weird because the Zeppelins were used by the Nazis for very much the first part of the war until they actually removed them from service because they were so easy to get shot down. If any of you guys have ever seen any footage ever, there's probably some on YouTube somewhere of a blimp actually coming down in flames. Those things burn, man. They're just massive targets, but the Germans used to use them because they used to fire off rockets, and I think they used to have artillery on there, sort of gunners on there and things like that. So they were quite effective, but they were just basically sitting ducks, and that's why the Germans stopped using them, because they were getting shot down in droves. So I think that's going to be quite interesting to see how that works. But I just look at the aeroplanes. Like, the aeroplanes are so significant in the detail, and you can see that they've got the German Focke-Wulf and obviously the British Spitfires. They're very sort of focusing on the British and German side of things in the trailer, which I think is great. I think it's great for us British to get a little bit of a mention, because I think we sort of fall way back in the wings sometimes. And it's our good old fellow Americans who get the limelight a little bit. Nothing taken away from them, but as a small country we get forgotten about a little bit, and we did play an integral part in a lot of these wars, and we still do. But yeah, it was nice to see a lot of the British symbols, the British flags and stuff like that, and some of the British weapons as well that were exposed in the trailer. That sort of fills me with a lot of excitement. But this is sort of quite an unorganised commentary really, because I'm just going to sort of pick off a few things that I saw and talk about them. But one of the things I did see was that it looked like somebody had exposed some mustard gas. Somebody had thrown some mustard gas, and it looks like the character throws on the gas mask to sort of protect themselves. Now that's all well and good, because that would have happened. However, mustard gas was not an instantaneous thing. If anybody else knows any different to that, then please correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I remember, mustard gas was something that used to be inhaled. They used to use it, but it was a very slow death. And when I say slow deaths, it could take up to days, weeks for the people to die. I mean, obviously it would cause some sort of impact immediately, but it wouldn't cause immediate death. Because obviously as the mustard gas was inhaled into the body, it would then take on the sort of form of blistering the skin. It would literally burn the insides very slowly and deteriorate you from the inside out, and it would cause nausea, vomiting, blindness and things like that. It would be a really slow, awful death. So I don't know whether the mustard gas is going to be used as something of a disorientation type thing, but I would be very, very surprised if it was going to be used as a lethal. Oh yeah, somebody else as well. I noticed somebody pointed out in that one scene where that the German soldier hits the American soldier in the face with, somebody said, why would they use a shovel in World War One? 1. Why is somebody using a shovel? I don't understand that. That was actually one of their weapons. It was one of the Nazi weapons that they used to use in trench warfare. Obviously, they used to have melee weapons, but one of the things they used to use, they fashioned this kind of like mace, this handheld mace, which was, if you imagine... How can I explain it? They used to do things where they used to make their own weapons up because it wasn't as advanced as it is nowadays. So they used to make their own weaponry up, and one of the things was like a mace. It was like a big heavy piece of timber, like a club, with lots of nails and, you know, sort of sharp things sticking out of it. Now they stopped using those because what used to happen was when they used to swing it at one of the swing at one of the enemy and it used to hit them, it used to get stuck in them and they literally couldn't pull it out. So they realized it was more effective to use a shovel because they were so sharp. They actually used to cut through armor, and that was one of their weapons of choice. So that is really accurate as well, because I did look at that and I thought, wow, I can't believe that they've actually picked up on that. That's some serious research right there. But I think one of the biggest concerns that people have with regards to World War I weaponry is that there wasn't that much of it, and that's actually not true. There was amazing amounts of weaponry used in World War I. I mean, for start off, the rifles, you had the Enfield 303, which was used by the Brits. You had the Liber and Berthier 8mm, I think it was, which was that French? I think that was a French weapon. And also the, Simpsons, Springfield. I had to think of the Simpsons then. Also the Springfield 1903, which was used by the USA. So, and also the Winchester. Yeah, if you think of the model 1887, they used to have the Winchester, but I think it was the 1867, which was used by the Americans. That was a key. That was actually a shotgun, but to be honest with you, the Winchester is it's more of a rifle really. The Brazilian militia still use it today, and it's still used in hunting and things like that because it's quite a devastating shotgun / rifle. So there's going to be a massive amount of rifles available, and also the machine guns. The machine guns were ridiculous. They were built to cut men in half. You know, I think their fire rate was something along the lines of, it was roughly around, I think it was about 600 rounds a minute. There's about 400 to 600 rounds per minute, so they just weren't to be sniffed at. I mean, there was flamethrowers, mortars. They used to use mortars in World War I, so similar to what you use in Battlefield 4. They used to use them way back then. It's not a new thing. And also the artillery, the big artillery cannons. There's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of features, and there's going to be a lot of weapons at our disposal. So that's something to really get excited about and not be nervous about, because obviously Battlefield is really highly considered for its wide array of weapons that you have. You're never stuck for choice, and it's nice to keep switching around. So I don't really think that DICE would say, nah, let's just cut back and have 3 weapons available, for public use. I think there's going to be a massive array of weapons. Now, I think the one thing that does confuse me and concern me a little bit, because I don't quite know how they're going to get around this, is that how is the warfare going to take place? Because if you think of most European warfare that took place in World War I, it was all sort of trench based. It was trench warfare. That was what it was all about. Dig down, dig a nice big trench, and have an exchange of gunfire, and sort of have all your have your sort of hospitals and stuff behind you to take the injured and the sick back to, and then proceed back to the underground bunkers and the tunnels that lead back into the trenches, and sort of occasionally go over the top. Maybe that'll be a feature that they'll involve. Occasionally you have to go over the top and charge in. I don't know. I don't quite know. I think if they did do it like that, or if there was a few maps, I suppose, where that was the only option, then that might be something interesting, where it's a case of who goes over the top first, who sort of takes charge and runs over the top while being covered by protective fire from your teammates with some sort of artillery cannons, while you advance towards the enemy trenches and bayonet them. I don't know, but I do think it's going to be strange. I think it's going to be a strange experience, and I think it's going to be something completely different. I think it will be familiar, so we'll all recognise that Battlefield feel to it, but it's going to be something whole and new and wholesome, and I think that's something to look forward to and embrace in our arms and say, this is different. Bravo, DICE. So yeah, is there anything you're dreading about it? Is there anything you're nervous about? Is there anything you're confused and unsure about? I'd be interested to hear. Hopefully I've covered enough. Thanks for watching, guys. Apocalypse done.